known fact is that hundreds of African-American soldiers represented Wisconsin in the Civil War.
That's right. If these individuals are mentioned at all in the history books, it is usually only briefly. But author Jeff Kannel is out to change that. A new book from the Wisconsin Historical Society is called Make Way for Liberty, Wisconsin African Americans in the Civil War. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to Live at 4.
Welcome, Jeff.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me.
Great to see you, and congratulations on the book. Tell us a little bit about who these soldiers were and why don't we know more about them?
I think one of the main reasons that not much is known about them is because compared to the number of white soldiers who served in the war, they were relatively few in number. But in doing the research on this, I have documented about 700 who served in one capacity or another. And there are probably hundreds more who served as employees of Wisconsin officers or regiments, but who were never put on any kind of official roles. So it's very difficult to document them. But those I found are nearly 700 and make some very interesting stories.
I was going to ask you what kind of role that they played in the war, these soldiers.
Most of them served in the U.S. Colored Infantry and Artillery, which were founded after the Emancipation Proclamation, when President Lincoln decided to allow African Americans to serve in the Army. So most of them were in U.S. Colored Troops, which were segregated units, all black soldiers up to the rank of sergeant, and then they were commanded by white officers. There were also a number of others who served in what had previously been all white Wisconsin regiments. Late in the war, the Wisconsin regiments started taking in black soldiers as well. Not very many, but a few. And then there were hundreds and many hundreds who served as employees of Wisconsin officers or regiments, as cooks, blacksmiths, etc.
So why did you write this book? Just to honor these soldiers?
Yeah, that was the main reason. I met some reenactors from Milwaukee who portray members of Company F of the 29th U.S. Colored Infantry. That was a regiment from Missouri, but most of the soldiers in that company were from Wisconsin or credited to Wisconsin. And they've been, the reenactors have been at it for more than 20 years. And when I first met them, I was embarrassed to admit I didn't know anything about there being African-American soldiers from Wisconsin. So I started doing research on this and presented it to them, and then just kept going from there till finally had a few boxes of research and decided to see if anyone wanted to publish it. And the Historical Society Press said yes. So it will be out fairly soon, sometime this month.
What were some of their struggles and victories that people really should know about?
I think there are two during the service, one of which was that many of the soldiers from Wisconsin were in the Battle of the Crater, and the wounded were hospitalized in a hospital in Alexandria, Virginia. If any of the soldiers there died, they were taken to basically a freedman cemetery and buried there without a stone, while the hospital was only 2 blocks away from a national hospital. So the soldiers at the hospital started a petition drive to get the right to be buried with other soldiers in the national cemetery, and they won. And one of the soldiers who led that was a sergeant from Milwaukee. They also were involved in the fight for equal pay, because when the U.S. Colored Troops was started, they were paid less than white soldiers. So in the movie Glory, the 54th and 55th Massachusetts regiments refused pay until it was made equal to white soldiers, and they won that. And in doing the research, found that at least 11 men from Wisconsin were in those Massachusetts units, because at the time they wanted to volunteer, Wisconsin still wasn't accepting them as volunteers.
Fascinating read. I think a must for any Wisconsin resident, an important part of our history.
I think there's some great stories. It's good history.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for being with us today. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Great to see you.